9 unbelievable instances of animals in the military. 1. War elephants. Elephants were first incorporated into the military in India. They would run toward the enemy at 20 miles per hour. Elephants didn't fear infantry lines bearing spears. They were resilient against musket fire, but they were an easy target for cannons. Elephants were used as recently as 1987. They allegedly transported heavy weaponry for Iraqi troops. 2. War pigs. Pigs were counter weapons to war elephants. The elephants were terrified of the squealing. Pigs broke the siege of Megara in 266 BC. The Megarians doused some pigs with combustible pitch. The pigs were set alight and sent toward the elephants. The elephants ran and trampled their own soldiers. 3. Mind-hunting dolphins. The U.S. Navy began studies on dolphins in 1960. They tested dolphin hydrodynamics to improve torpedoes. Later, dolphins were trained to locate mines. They released buoys over the mine's location. Such operations were used during the Iraq War in 2003. The dolphins helped clear the port of Qasr. They are also used to guard harbors. The dolphins put buoys on enemy divers. The devices drag the divers to the surface. 4. Defensive sea lions. California sea lions are trained in the same facilities. They sometimes work together with dolphins. The sea lions protect U.S. harbors against enemy divers. They also retrieve test equipment. The Navy first used sea lions in 1970. The animals recovered a test anti-submarine rocket. They reached a depth of 180 feet. 5. Anti-tank dogs. The Soviets trained dogs to place bombs in front of tanks. The dogs would then run back to safety, but it was a difficult feat to achieve. So the Soviets instead strapped bombs to dogs. The dogs had a pouch with an activating lever. The dog would dive under a tank. The lever would strike the tank's chassis, detonating the bomb. The program proved to be a failure. The dogs were trained on Soviet diesel tanks. German tanks used gasoline. The dogs would run toward Soviet vehicles, guided by smell. Yet the anti-tank dog program continued until 1996. 6. Bat bombs. Bat bombs were developed by the U.S. They were intended for use against Japan. Each bomb would contain 26 trays with 40 bats in each. The bats would have incendiary devices strapped to them. Japanese cities were constructed of wood and paper. The bombs would have caused thousands of fires. The project was superseded by the atomic bomb. 7. Pigeon-guided missiles. Pigeon-guided missiles were developed during World War II. The missile had an array of lenses at the front. They projected the target's image to a screen. The pigeons had to peck at the target on the screen. The pigeons' pecks corrected the missile's flight path. The project was cancelled because of its impracticality. 8. A soldier bear. In 1942, a Polish supply brigade was at Hamadan, Persia. They encountered a Syrian brown bear. They named it Wojtek and made it their mascot. Wojtek would frequently eat with the men. In Egypt, they prepared to re-enter the war zone. The army denied pets passage to war zones, so the brigade made Wojtek a corporal. Wojtek carried weapons and munitions. 9. Cat spies. The CIA set out to use cats to spy on the Russians. The cats would have microphones implanted in their air canals. Radio transmitters would be placed in the base of their skulls. In theory, the cats would become mobile spies. Only one cat was ever tested. It was immediately hit by a passing taxi cab. The project was cancelled.